So how did it all start? Well, it started in the classroom during an MBA, the first useful thing to come out of an MBA class at Gibbs in the last decade. What was the date? 2012, 2013 or thereabouts?
I finished my MBA in 2011.
In 2011, and immediately set out going to find funders, because creating schools is no mean feat. You would need millions of rand to kick off.
Bruce, yeah, to start schools is very expensive. I mean, it's infrastructure, it's salaries. So we had to raise money from angel investors. I never understood the angel investor term until we really had to go out and raise money, and it was really hard because the South African market generally, they want proof of concept before anyone's really willing to put in the money. But we just had to sell an idea and a vision.
But you're somebody with no experience in education other than educating yourself. You are concerned about the schooling system. That's very nice and that's charitable, but that's not a proof of concept. So who were your first investors, if you can disclose who, and how did you pitch to them in a way that got them to accept?
So right at the beginning and during my MBA as well, I worked with one of our professors in finance and really helped to build out a strong financial model. And I think that then really fed into the business plan of what we were doing. So when we went to we pitched to a lot of people. We had some strong backing and network, and the research that I had done, it also helped. But really, our angel investors were high net worth individuals, South Africans. I think people that just wanted to get anything a go. And I suppose you're really backing the entrepreneurs as opposed to an idea and backing their passion. And so we were fortunate to raise money from about 5 high net worth South Africans that were willing, to see if we could figure this out.
I mean, how many frogs did you need to kiss? I mean, in terms of...
Chris, it was a lot of people we spoke to and
What was the general response? I mean, here I've got a plan where I can help to fix education. Your future is in South Africa as the investor. Will you back me? And the vast majority say, good luck.
Yeah, the vast majority said, oh, come back, in the next year or two. I had no money. I had just done a full-time MBA, so I hadn't been working for over a year. So we were eventually, through contacts and networks, they'll say, cool, let's give this a go. We had one angel investor right at the beginning. He never even took equity. He was just gave us some money for research, proper idea money, which is unbelievable. And then my thing going forward is that because he paid it forward, when I'm in a position, I'm going to pay it forward also, just to give someone an opportunity to figure out a good idea.
How do you stay motivated when you keep going and knocking on doors and being told, that's great, come back in 2 years? I don't know if I'll be alive in 2 years' time. I might have starved to death in those 2 years.
Bruce, I believe completely what we were doing and what we were set out to do right from the beginning. I knew that once I committed to this, there was no looking back. It did take me a long time to figure out, once I say yes, that's it. You can't sort of start 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I think they really bought into the passion and what we wanted to do. I think they also liked it that we were a private company and wasn't a non-profit, because a lot of the investors felt that there was more accountability. And we had built a really strong financial model that could really be tested, so that they appreciated the thought and the amount of research that had gone into it.
So the date of the first school was?
Was January 2013. We launched our first school with 160 children and 20 staff members.
160 children, 20 staff, January 2013. Now, January 2019, you opened 5 brand new schools, including a senior school, to take those first kids from 2013 through to the high school system. How many kids today, staff, schools, campuses?
So we're now educating over 10,500 children across the network, and we're employing over 1,000 staff members.
And that is in 6 years. I mean, it's an extraordinary success story, but every business has every successful business has this massive success trajectory. And you run the risk of developing a speed wobble. Are you stopping at any point just to breathe?
Yes. So, Bruce, we're not opening any more schools next year. We're just normal organic growth with our new schools. And it's really just consolidating, making sure that we've got all the right systems, procedures, controls, making sure the house is in order before we enter our next stage of growth, which will be launching new schools again from 2021 onwards.
What is the potential in this market? Because you've positioned yourself at the lower end of the cost curve of private education. And that's immensely popular, and you're getting decent uptake coming through from parents doing that. What is the potential for low-cost private schooling in South Africa?
The potential is huge, Bruce. I mean, well, if you look at the market, there's 12 million, approximately 12 million school-going children, and only about 5-6% of it's the private sector compared to government, but you're seeing that grow tremendously. We're not seeing enough of the middle to low-cost schools entering the market, but because people are struggling in terms of that space, what you generally see is just the high-end private schools starting.
But even those high-end private schools are beginning to quiver just a little bit. You look at Advotech, which runs Crawford Schools, for example. They are saying in their annual results that they are seeing for the first time in years an exodus of children due to immigration, which is one particular constraint. But the economy, the first quarter of this year, you would have seen it, I'm sure, in your own numbers, the economy contracted by 3.2%. The economy matters when it comes to discretionary income, and sadly, education is discretionary.
Absolutely.
Private education is discretionary.
So, Bruce, we're not seeing it from an enrollment perspective. We enrolled over 5,000 new families into the new year, which is more than we had approximately 2 years ago. But where we are seeing the struggle is more about parents' ability to pay, and it's definitely harder than it previously has been. But we're really working on it internally to look at how we can really better support our families around their financial planning. What other options can we include or at least put on the table for them so our parents are better off year on year?
Stacey Brewer is the founder and chief executive of Spark Schools. We're broadcasting today from the Doornfontein campus, one of 21 campuses at Spark Schools. Private education at a lower cost than has been traditionally provided. It's making big inroads. Does this threaten the state's incapacity to provide education? Is the state cooperating at all? Is there a cross-pollination of ideas? Could we see the Spark concept going into government schools and having an impact there, I wonder? More on that in a moment.